Hey, welcome to the All 49ers show. Jose Sanchez, Grant Cohn. That's Jose
Yeah.
Sanchez. I'm Grant Cohn. We're going to talk about Warriors Lakers. He's apparently a Laker fan. I don't know. I'm not a Warriors fan. I don't have a dog in the fight, but we're going to talk about that at the end. We're going to talk about the Niners' third round picks, which are always controversial, and they have a terrible track record of drafting in round 3, other than Fred Warner. But we want to start with something positive, so we're going to start on day 3, where the Niners dominate. They've had so many good picks on day 3, maybe more success than any other team in the league. I don't know. Which day 3 pick this year do you think will be the best?
I really liked Robert Beal Jr. When he got drafted, you start reading a little bit more about him. It's like, well, first of all, once I hear he's from Georgia, I guess in a way it's kind of stereotyping. It's like, wow, he's from Georgia, okay. And then you read more about his measurables, you read what he's done, and it's like, okay, he led his team in sacks in 2021, and then just kept still sustaining a high level of play the next year. And it's kind of hard really to stand out at Georgia. It's really was what the clear consensus was Jalen Carter, right? But then Robert Beal was, not terribly far behind. So, I mean, I kind of like that prospect of putting him with Chris Kasarik and a bunch of other studs that the 49ers already have a defensive line. And that's someone that he could become a role player this year and maybe even rise above the ranks for future. So I think of all the players that they picked in day 3, he's someone who I think he's the most fail-safe. It's probably going to turn out to be their best. And it's going to be like, it was so obvious of everything that was on the table. And so great selection.
Robert Beal. That's an interesting one. I wouldn't be surprised if he washes out. Like, he's got a lot to prove. He's a project, although he could be very good. Yeah. My guy that I'm going with is the first pick on day 3, Darrell Luter Jr., the other 5th round pick 155, the cornerback. I feel like he's got kind of all the measurables. He's got some production. He's got a really good DB coach, Wilkes. I feel like he's going to end up being like a quality starter for them. Like, Lenore better watch out, or he could end up being Travarius Ward's replacement. I think this guy's going to be good. Luter.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I was clear about this draft. Like, all the picks that they was taking was lined up to where some other big starters were contracts were expiring, like in 2024, 25, or 26. So that's like one thing that I think they made sure to align is like, this is someone that we don't need them to be key right away, but it's someone we could keep under the table. Hopefully they grow, and it's like, okay, we got this guy who we kind of like where he's going, and then maybe we find a future replacement for the cheap versus these guys who are costing us all this money and are draining the salary cap space. So I kind of like that idea. I think with Beal, like, yeah, you're right, he's a project still. Like I said, that's why he was far off from being anywhere near a stud like a Jalen Carter or anything like that. But I just like the idea of putting him with Chris Kasarik. It's like, if there's one place you're gonna put somewhere, and it's like it's the ultimate place you can put him. Always. It's why they always can bring the free agents who are reclamation projects, put them in with this guy, and they just always manage to find a way to tap into their potential and reach their ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that the 3 defensive players the Niners took on day 3, Luter Jr., Robert Beal, and D. Winters, will all end up being impact players, or if not starters. Like, I don't know if Beal will ever be a starter, but he could definitely be a rotational pass rusher. And really, the only person in his way is Drake Jackson, who's not as athletic as him. Maybe he's more flexible and a better pass rusher, but he kind of looks to me like a tweener. People are saying he rebuilt his body. See what he looks like at OTAs, because you saw him at training camp. I mean, he looked like not an NFL player, like a college player to me.
Yeah, it just looked like just speed was his game, and again, that's why I guess it makes sense when Kyle explained it as exit pressers. Like, yes, the dude his strength just waned as the season went on, and it's like, yeah, speed's great, but even that waned because again, everything just eats at your body because of the longer season. They're not used to it. They're only used to those 11, 12 game seasons. That's if they were healthy, and that's assuming they went to a bowl game and played in that. So everything is cumulative on these guys' body of work. So I think also the thing what we could say about Beal, and like you said, even with all the day 3 picks, those first 3 defensive picks, is the way that Kyle and Lynch like really went at depth at describing these guys and why they liked them, why they drafted them, explaining all this. That's why I've been having like fun writing these articles. Like, why did they draft these guys? Again, they really went in on talking about them, and they really liked them. And it's like, okay, so this is someone to really keep an eye on. Let's see what they do. I mean, not necessarily, be starter level worthy. Maybe eventually they'll shine in the season, but there's a reason why all of these guys why they're really, again, like going in depth. The same thing with like Ronnie Bell. He was a 7th round pick. I've never heard Kyle Shanahan go ad nauseum and go at length, like a full essay on a guy who was drafted in the 7th rounder. I was like, maybe it's because he's a wide receiver and Kyle has those soft spots for those guys, but still, it's like the same thing. It's
Knew
like,
everything about him. Knew everything about him, right?
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't think you did any scouting. I thought you hated
Yeah.
scouting. Every time, this is the first time I think he said at a post-draft press conference, and he says, "Oh, what do you like about the draft being over? Whatever this draft is. Oh, I don't have to watch tape anymore." Or something. He said that like last 2 years, and this is the first year. He's like, okay, you're a little more relaxed.
Yeah. Look, I forgot about Jalen Graham. They took 4 defensive players on day 3. That's another linebacker. And the way I think about the Niners is anytime they draft a linebacker, I just assume he's going to end up being good because I think they're the best team in the league at drafting and developing linebackers. Mm-hmm. And even though they've lost D'Amico and Saleh, they still have Johnny Holland, who I feel like is like the Yoda of that position. Like I feel like he taught them. I don't even know. Yeah, he's so good. So those two are going to probably end up being either key backups or one will be a starter or both eventually. So I like all the defensive picks on day 3. My questions are the 2 offensive picks, the tight end and the wide receiver. What do you think of? Which one do you think has a better chance to be like a contributor on this team at some point? Who's going to be better, Ronnie Bell or Braden Willis?
Probably Ronnie Bell, because first of all, he's probably going to start on special teams, right? I think he's going to find a key role there, and probably Willis will too. But I take Bell because, well, I'll get first with Willis. I don't see him as a great blocker, right? Everything that's that like I've been reading on, like I'm not gonna pretend I watched him, but everything I've been reading on sounds like, okay, this guy's very highly skewed towards being a wide receiver. What about blocking? Is he a great blocker? Is he a good blocker at least? I'm sure he's been capable, but it's like, okay, it sounds like he's gonna have some work. And then I look at him, I'm like, he's tall, he's kind of lanky. It looks like he needs to like get some nice build to him first, and maybe even polish up some technique. And that's not the 49ers MO. They want the tight ends to do both, right? Maybe more so block than actually be a receiver. So that's why I go with Ronnie Bell more. He's going to find himself a special teams role. And then Juwan Jennings on a 1-year deal. He might not be back next year. So maybe Ronnie Bell rises up the ranks and then finds his role. And then Danny Gray. I know Danny Gray is there, but again, he's just a speedster. He didn't really do much of anything last year. He had to develop so many traits like blocking, finding his role on special teams, and doing more than just running the straight line because Trey Lance wasn't a quarterback anymore. He had to adjust and adapt to Brock Purdy in that new system. So I think Ronnie Bell has the best chance to really flourish among those two.
I'm going to go with Braden Willis because I feel like he didn't test, but I think he's a good athlete. I think he's going to, even if he's not like a good blocker, like he could end up taking the Juwan Jennings role in a year where he's like a slot receiver or he's a tight end, but you really use him on third down and he could be a better receiver than Latu. Like on third down, if you need like another guy on the field and Jennings isn't on the team anymore, I mean, you could go 2 tight ends with Braden Willis in the slot. And I feel like who would you rather have in the slot next year, Ronnie Bell or Braden Willis? It could come down to that. And like Ronnie Bell, he's a little smaller and he runs like a 4.54. Like, I don't know how much he's going to win, I guess. And like with Willis, at least he might present different matchup problems. It'll be interesting. They were picked like 4 picks apart, 6.
Yeah, does this mean Charlie Warner's gone?
Yes. Because I don't know what Charlie Warner does on the team. Like, he's supposed to be a blocking specialist.
I remember when he made that, when they made that pick in 2020, right? I remember when they made that pick, it was like, okay, this guy just sounds like a faster offensive lineman. It's like they could. Pretty much. I think I remember writing up that. I think I'm the one that wrote up that piece too when they got drafted, and it's like this guy is like good blocker, great is what they want to do. I think he took on that. There was a backup tight end the 49ers had that used to use a lot after George Kittle. Not Ross Dwelly. Who's the other guy? He went to the Giants. I forgot. In 2019 to 2020, he was like I forgot his name. Started with
Caden Smith. Caden Smith.
Was it? No, it wasn't Caden Smith. It was another guy.
Who went to the Giants? He was in the Niners tight end?
In free agency.
What are we talking about? Oh, I don't know.
I think he was a Pacific Islander cat. I don't remember who.
Oh, it's Levine Toilolo?
Yes, that guy. Remember he used to come in and be the blocker? I was thinking Charlie Warner took his spot. So it's okay, cool. That was great, but he's got to develop into a receiver somehow. So at least Brady Willis already has that spot. I feel like it's easier to develop as a blocker almost than it is to be as a wide receiver because so much of that, like it's a timing, anticipation, feet work where blocking just get strong, hold your blocks. We don't need you to do it for too long.
You want to hear some news that's going to dishearten you? So thank you for bringing up Charlie Warner, okay? So they clearly drafted Cameron Latu to replace Charlie Warner. Charlie Warner at the combine a few years ago, 6'4.5", 244, 4.78, 40. Cameron Latu at his pro day, 6'4.5", 242, 4'7", 840. So, and he went to Alabama. The other guy went to Georgia. I hope they didn't draft the next Charlie Warner in round 3. That'd be terrible. But we're not talking about day 2 yet. We're talking about day 3 and all the great things that they always do on day 3. But that Cameron Latu pick is scary. Damn,
it's because they
just
collaborate.
drafted Charlie Warner, man. Charlie Warner has the same physical profile. I'm not saying he's the same player, but when you have the same testing numbers as Charlie Warner, that's scary. Especially
that's not supposed to be like a high pick like he was. But Warner was a fourth, fifth round pick.
Sixth.
Okay, fine. Sixth round pick makes sense, but you went all the way high in 3. Jeez.
Charlie Warner was the 190th pick in the draft. Latu was pick 101, and he runs the same 40 as Charlie Warner. I mean, Charlie Warner might beat him out. I don't know, man. Latu, you better. All right, let's talk round 3. Before we talk tight end in round 3, the Niners took a freaking kicker in round 3 with pick 99. What are your thoughts on this highly controversial pick? Because I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm very conflicted about it still.
So I'm watching drafting my TV, right? And I literally have my other PC right here, and I'm just watching. Okay, who are they gonna pick? And then they say it, and I was like, I knew it because I said this back in literally 2 months ago. Look, I get the outrage. I definitely do. You don't draft kickers around 3, but personally, I was not shocked or just like saw it as a big deal because I thought I was expecting it. I was, because they were working on all these kickers, especially like a month ago, and it's like they don't have a kicker, and you acquire Zane Gonzalez for pretty much nothing. You swap 7-round picks, so pretty much the picks collateral is nothing. His contract is nothing. That sounds like to me it's a contingency because Gonzalez missed 2022. He's missed 12 games in 2021 and 2020. And a lot of times it happens when he's doing those warm-up kicks. And it's like, God, the last thing the Niners want is like, this guy's hurt. It's week 3. And he just freaking slipped on a random banana peel, Mario Kart style. And now I got to roll out Mitch Wisnowski. I got to go for 2 now the rest of the day. Like, what are we doing? So I get it. I get the outrage in defense. I feel like everyone's both right in this case. And I'm taking the Venn diagram in the middle part of just like, I hear you both. I hear you both. But this was ultimately like it was an arrogant pick. And like, we only need a kicker. We're good everywhere else. I don't care about depth. I don't care about the future. Well, I guess kicker is the future.
I don't care about the draft board either. Because like, honestly, like they'll be like, well, they would, Moody would have been taken if you take it. Okay, man, let someone else reach for a kicker. Look. A few years ago, they drafted Mitch Wishnowsky in round 4. Okay. And Mitch Wishnowski's been everything they've hoped and more. He is what they wanted when they took him. So on one hand, they could be like, hey, we got into this with our eyes open. He's what we wanted. Good pick. But in retrospect, let's look at what they did. They had the 104th pick in the draft. They traded down to 110, okay? If they had stayed at 104, pick 105 was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Pick 106 was Max Crosby. So even if you like take the special teams guy and he is everything you want, at that point in the draft, you're almost guaranteed to be passing on really good players. You may not know who they are yet. So, they trade down to pick 110. I mean, still, hold on. Pick 128 is Tony Pollard. Like, you could go in, and there's a bunch of starters that went in round 4 of the 2019 draft that you might prefer to freaking Mitch Wishnowsky because you can get punters. Is all I'm saying. So, yeah, Jake Moody might be great or very good or good, but I guarantee there's going to be 5 to 10 players who went in round 4 that are going to be, the Niners are going to be kicking themselves they didn't take in like 3-4 years. And that's the problem.
I would lean towards
the problem.
Kinsler is likely. And this is why I think, like, that's why I hate when you go in the draft and you're drafting for need, because if you're drafting for need, you're drafting for the immediate year. And it's like, wait, the draft is not for immediate year. The draft is for, sure, it's for the year. That'd be nice, but that's why those are your round 1 and 2 picks, right?
Right.
But you didn't have those. You can't afford that, which is why they were trying to trade Brandon Ayuk in the first place, right? They were thinking about that, trying to get until they went on that run on wide receivers. This is why you don't do it. The Niners everything in their moves 2023 back to free agency, restructures, everything. Everything's just about literally just winning it all this year, and it just continues to build. Okay, you don't win the Super Bowl. I don't care if Trey Lance gets hurt. I don't care if Brock Purdy gets hurt. I don't care if Christian McCaffrey. I don't care if half the team gets hurt. It was a failure for you. It's a failure for you guys because these are the players you are investing in. These are the players you're restructuring in. These are the players you've traded for. This is no excuse year. Jake Moody's missing a percentage of his kicks. Well, I will say this: just because they drafted Jake Moody in the round 3, they're still going to make him compete. I think they're definitely going to make him compete.
Yep.
Now there'll probably be a name, and they'll give Moody the lead. But God forbid Moody looks like he's stinky out there, Roberto Aguayo 2.0. Then okay, sayonara. We're gonna just roll the dice with Zane. We're gonna roll the dice with Zane Gonzalez. So I think from that standpoint, that's where you're kind of fine at. So, but ultimately, they need to hope this guy is a good kicker this year and beyond to justify just sufficiently justify it. Because I know that you said if it turns out there's another Max Crosby out there that they failed upon, then it's like it's still hard to justify. But this is why, again, you have to hope this guy is a good kicker and he's your starter for the foreseeable future. I'm talking like 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is like, it's a short-sighted move, and the Niners are really good now, but they're getting a little bit older. Their core is getting a little bit older, and like in 2-3 years, or maybe even less than that, you're going to look at the effect of them throwing away so many round 1, 2, and 3 picks. Like they've thrown them away, or not thrown them away, but I mean, 3 went to Trey Lance. Around 2, 3, 4 pick went to Christian McCaffrey. Like the reinforcements aren't coming. Like you spent a 3rd round pick on a kicker, which, you could have probably gotten a guy who would develop into a starter at that pick if you picked wisely, and you passed on that. So you could have a kicker. Like eventually in 2 years, you're going to say, well, where's the depth? It's all got to come from these day 3 picks. And if the Niners keep hitting in day 3, then great. But eventually you wonder, like, is that well going to run dry? Is the rest of the league going to catch up to you? Are you finally going to come back down to earth? Is there any luck involved in you hitting in round 5 and 6 and 7? Because if that happens, the Niners are in trouble, man. Eventually. Yeah. But if they win the Super Bowl this year, who cares, right? Who cares?
They need to win it.
What if Jake Moody?
Okay, it's fine. It's justified.
What if they win by 2 and Jake Moody has the game-winning kick?
God, they're going to be so justified. Okay, I think if I'm going to defend the 49ers in the sake is on 2 things. Yeah. One, there was a lightweight run on kickers. The Patriots took someone 20 spots away, so I was like, God damn it, he has a point there. And then I think another team took a kicker in the 5th round, no? Or maybe in the 4th round.
I think there was
definitely a 3rd kicker taken in the 5th round, maybe the 6th, but I want to say the 5th.
Yeah.
There's definitely 3 kickers taken, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. 1,000%. I don't remember the name of the 3rd guy, but there was one. So that's okay. So Kyle had a point. He thought that he was going to go, and look, he probably was right. If the Patriots took him, all right. So I mean, no one's gonna talk about anything about the Patriots, but then again, it's Bill Belichick. No one's going to question what he's doing, right? He has all that credibility and all that.
It was Anders Carlson, round 6. I think he's his brother's a kicker in the NFL. There's another Carlson.
Oh, right. Yeah, Daniel Carlson on the Raiders. That's right. That's why he got taken.
So his brother got taken.
Went to the Packers, no?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
Who always have a really bad kicker, right? Mason Crosby. I don't know. Is Mason Crosby? He was there forever, but whenever he played the Niners, he missed. So I don't know.
There was a stretch of years where he was bad. I remember him being bad. It was like, that's weird. And I think my last point on this thing, just because you tweeted out like that's last week about all the 49ers round 3 picks, about how all of them have been shite except for Fred Warner.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Moody has a chance to be the 2nd best round 3 pick they've gotten, honestly, because in terms of he should stay, in theory, he should stay there longer, and he should be a fairly good a really good kicker, right? Because he's such a high prospect. And even again, I know they had drafted it, but again, if you consider all the years past in the 49ers, they have sucked in this round. They have been bad.
Sucked.
So this feels like you just need something now. And it's like, look, it's ultimately going to be one of their best round 3 picks. The same way, like, it's like, if they took like some reach position in round 1 and 2, they suck in those rounds too. So it's like, all right, you look comparing the past, it's like this is going to be one of their best ones. So at the end of the day, it's like it kind of works out.
I think Jair Brown's going to end up being really, really, really good. But to your point, I think Moody's going to be a day 1 starter. Brown might have to be like take the Hufanga route where he's the third safety, and there's packages for him, and they're finding ways to get him on the field. But you can't just bench 2 proven vets for him right away. Because honestly, like Tashawn Gibson, I thought was one of the most underrated players on the team last year. Like got no accolades, 0, when he statistically had a better season than his running mate, Talanoa Hufanga, who was great and deserved all of his accolades, but he took a lot of chances that Gibson didn't take. And Gibson was just as productive without giving up 4 or 5 touchdowns. So I'm just saying, man, you can't just bench him for a rookie unless that rookie definitely earns it based on what he does in training camp and preseason, not just college. So good luck to Jair Brown. We've got to talk about right tackle. I'm freaking out about it. And I always freak out about it. It's not that I'm freaking out about it because I don't care about the team or root for the team. It's just that I feel like it's the issue and they don't want to talk about it. And they're saying it's not an issue. And I'm saying it is. But it's like they went 13-4 last year with Mike McGlinchey. So it's kind of a nuanced discussion here. How concerning is this right tackle position really?
There's definitely a concern, and I remember Kyle Shanahan talking about, oh, I compare this to Jake Brendel or Aaron Banks of the years past. Or I don't know if he said that, but I've seen that comparison. It's like Tomlinson, Aaron Banks, Alex Mack, or like
Brendel for sure. He said it the other day because Brendel had really never played. He had like 4 or 5 starts, and all of a sudden he's a starter.
Yeah, and that was the more comparable one, right? Because it's guard's like, okay, guard's like more easier to stick and is less impactful than tackle. I mean, and center is impactful. It's just tackle is like higher up the totem pole to me. It's higher, and you're gonna put Colton McKivitz there. I mean, maybe he looks a little better. Maybe he turns out fine and it's all gravy and they look like geniuses again, like with Brendel. Like, okay, cool. I mean, Brendel turned out to be a Pro Bowl player, whether it was deserved or not. Maybe he was close to it, maybe he wasn't, but he turned out to be fine. Maybe it'll be good. Again, it's the fact that you're putting so much of this risk of an unknown into top 3, I'd say top 3 most pivotal positions in football, right? With quarterback and tackle being one of them, maybe a pass rusher or corner being 3 or 4, whatever the way you want to rank it. But yeah, tackle is one of them. And this is going to easily be something that disrupts your whole offense. You're going to have to figure out ways to mitigate it like crazy if it doesn't work out with McKivitz, or if it is, whoever it is. I don't think they have a true bona fide answer there. And it's a little scary. And again, I know there was 2 tackles on the board. We talk about kicker instead of taking kicker. There was DeJuan Jones available for them. There was Nick Saldiveri. Those are the only 2 I could have saw that were actually like pure right tackles. You get stuck there. But in terms of were they actually immediate starter ready, that's a huge toss up. I don't know about that.
They might have been guards too. They might have been guards.
It was just a tough way to really find an answer here. So now you're stuck in a position where it's like, what are you guys going to do?
Nick Saldiveri would have been intrigued. I think I would have taken him over Latu. I mean, give him a chance. Like, because here's the thing. Like, Kyle's point is, he can win with McKivitz, and he has. He's beaten the Rams the last 2, twice with McKivitz in the last 2 years. I think once at right tackle, once at left tackle, or maybe both at left tackle. I forget. But he can win with McKivitz, and I'm sure they could win. They could rack up a bunch of wins in the regular season with him. The question is, who's the swing tackle? Like,
Feliciano.
Trent Williams misses a couple games a year. Like, what if McKivitz? Can you win with the next guy playing? Who is the next guy? Jalen Moore. Can you win with him? Because he's probably gonna have to start a few games.
You've already seen it.
I don't know. I don't know if you can win with Jalen Moore. And if it's not him, is it? It could have been Saldiveri or whoever that guy is, but now it's like Nick Zakelj or it's Jalen Moore. So those could be like a couple losses you shouldn't have because you essentially don't have a swing tackle that you could have gotten this draft. And then after that, like, yeah, you could go 15-2. Like, their whole thing is, we don't need a great right tackle because we have the best defense and we're built to run the ball. So we're never putting Mike McGlinchey in that position where we're like down 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, passing every play, people tee off because he'll fold. We're never in that position. We're always winning. Yeah, in the regular season, but at some point in the playoffs, you're going to have to like be in that game. And that right side of your offensive line is going to fold. And you're going to blame the quarterback for not protecting himself or making the throws or whatever. But like, it's going to bite you eventually, even if you go 15-2. That's the way I look at it. The right tackle spot.
And that's assuming that defense makes a smooth transition from D'Amico Ryans to Steve Wilks in the first place. Look, and I thought Wilks was probably the best candidate for them to take instead of Vic Fangio, but there's still going to be a drop off. I think I'm more vindicated. I think I feel more confident
because D'Amico was on Salah's staff. There was no change. This is different. Yeah.
And even then, when it went from Robert Saleh to D'Amico, I thought Robert was freaking amazing, and I was like, there's going to be definitely some growing pains, and it's probably going to look off for a stretch of the season. It never did. It never did into the season. He was a better upgrade than Saleh, and that was crazy because Saleh, what he did in 2020 should never be taken for granted. But Wilks, it's like he still doesn't have it on the table in terms. Again, he hasn't had the same talent and staff he has now, so he should be good. All right, but it's in terms of them being what they were with D'Amico and Robert all those years, it's probably not going to happen. There's probably going to be some of those.
It might be different. It might be different.
I demand more out of this offense, and I even demand more because Kyle is going with Brock Purdy at quarterback, and he's so been vindicated and convicted, as John Lynch keeps saying over and over again. They're convicted about Brock Purdy. That's like, okay, you think this is the guy? You think your offense is the shit? Show it to me. Don't if your defense is cracking, I want to see it. I want to see it. You have this right tackle. I don't hear no excuses about the right tackle. This is your choice because, like they said,
this is who you wanted.
They foreshadowed. They predicted that Meg McGlinchey was going to go for a large sum of cash in free agency.
Yeah, you saw it all coming.
They're fielding trade offers, right?
Yeah.
You guys had all that time to figure out a replacement or do something, and McKivitz was your best bet. You better hope it works.
You better hope it works. And again, my prediction is that it'll work for the most part in the regular season. But when they come to the crossroads, like Bone Thugs and Harmony, meet me at the crossroads. McKivitz is going to be the one there that lets him down, most likely. Last year, it was Tyler Kroft. I don't know. I just wouldn't. It seemed like in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, the right side caved. In the NFC Championship against the Rams in the fourth quarter, the right side caved. And they're capable of caving again. I do think it's concerning, but it doesn't mean I'm going to like pick them to go 9-8 this year. You know what I mean? They can still run the ball. They can still run to win a lot, probably. I mean, they hardly run to the right anyway. They had all of their good runs go to the left the last, 2 years, except for the Debo runs. The Debo Ray runs. Those go to the right.
Or the center.
Official BNA Music 88 says, counting down to Brandon Allen looking good at camp, and he's completing 80% of his swing passes to TDP posts. I don't think anyone is. I missed a bunch. I'll go back and get them. But yeah, that's going to be fun. The Brandon Allen hype train. I don't think anyone. Someone asked. I have a friend I grew up with who's a Raider fan, and he's texted me. He's like, he wanted to know if Sam Darnold has a group of irrational fans that think he's really good, like Jimmy does. And I was like, I don't think so.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Zach Rivero says, I'm not mad they got Moody, but why 36 and not 38 at least? He would have been gone by their next pick in 5th round. Kind of understand the logic.
36 and 38?
In round 3?
I
don't know. They felt if they didn't take Moody at 99 or whatever that pick was, that someone was going to trade up with the Raiders.
They had a 4th round grade on him. That's what they said. And since the bottom, hey, you made fun of Kyle Shanahan saying like, oh yeah, Kyle says that 3rd round pick was a 4th round pick. And it's like, it's definitely more of a 4th than it is a 3rd, Grant. I agree with Kyle on that one.
But I just think it's funny. Like when you're trying to hype up a player, you try to say is this dude's really good. Not like, hey, it's not really a 3rd round pick. Think of him as a 4th round pick. It's like what you're saying is like, he's not that good. Let me lower the expectations here. I don't want to raise him.
I don't think it was that so much that he's not that good. I think it's so much like, hey, don't make fun of me for using a 3rd round pick. I actually used
that's what it was. Pick. He didn't think of it, but that's how it comes across. It's like, man, you're kind of like, you should be pumping him up and say this guy's great. I would have taken him in round 2. I would have taken him in round 1. NG49 says, while 6 Cents Sam watches B-ball, Trey's grinding. 6 Cents Sam. I see dead people.
But I'd say that Sam is doing the good thing because he's ingratiating himself with the Cabo clique. And that's one of the ways of how Sam Darnold is going to win that starting job.
Isn't that crazy that he was at the game with Kittle? I mean, I understand that he's friends. He's friends with Christian, but now he's friends with Kittle too. Like, that just doesn't seem fair.
Hey, George, I'll buy you a beer. You're the best quarterback ever. Coors.
All right. Gross. Did the 49ers get better this offseason? Real quick, let me just do a rundown of players they lost and gained who made an impact last year. Okay? So last year, these are people who just made an impact at some point. Not necessarily a tremendous one, but like we're on the field doing things. Jimmy Ward, Emmanuel Mosley for like 4 or 5 games. Azeez Al-Shaair, Samson Ebukam, Charles Omenihu, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mike McGlinchey, Robbie Gould. There were more, but I mean, those, I don't know, what is that, 8 guys were essentially main characters on this team at one point. They're gone. And guys the Niners added this year in free agency and the draft who definitely will do something on this team this year. Javon Hargrave, great signing. Isaiah Oliver, starting nickel. Jake Moody, kicker. There probably will be a couple more free rookies who assert themselves as well, but I just don't know who they are yet. So based off those names, did the Niners get better on paper this offseason?
I'd say they cancel out only because right tackle gets a little worse from Mike McGlinchey to Colton McKivitz. But it's also
I totally agree.
It also boosts because Javon Hargrave massively boosts up that non-existent pass rush outside of Nick Bosa. So I think that cancels out. Everywhere else kind of filled. Like, and I like what you did there, boosting the numbers with they lost Jimmy Garoppolo, Emmanuel Mosley. Like, oh, come on, let's come on. But it's like I hear what you're saying on those, but it's like, where else were they going to upgrade other than in the draft and looking for those future key players behind them? Where else were they going to upgrade? They don't need to.
No, I'm not saying they messed up. I just think it's the reality of the situation. That I'm with you. Like, that was a wash what they did this offseason. They didn't take a step back. They did all that they could, but they didn't. I don't know that they had a step forward to take and they didn't take it. Like, I don't know if the Eagles did either. The Eagles lost a bunch of guys. They lost Hargrave. That's a big one. And they replaced him with Jalen Carter.
Guys, yeah.
Right. Like, I think their offseason was a bit of a wash too, but I think if the Niners are going to take a step forward this year, it's going to be a lot of the players they drafted last year. It's going to be Drake Jackson.
Yes.
Caleb, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's who has to take the step forward. There has to be like 2 or 3 guys. So Drake Jackson is so important this year. And Colton McKivitz. Those 2 dudes. Colton McKivitz, Drake Jackson. Like, no, you don't even have a competition, man. It's all you. You have the starting job locked up. Do something with it. If they do, then this team is better than last year.
I'd say Kalia Davis is kind of crucial too a little bit.
Sure.
Put him in because I think he was supposed to go higher if it wasn't for his injury, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what you mentioned about last year's picks having to be coming up this year, and I think that's a big reason why they didn't really look at any offensive linemen in the draft last year. It's like we took 2. We need those guys to flourish, and we have other. We got at some point we got to do our job and coach them up, which I kind of like. It's like, okay, you do your job and coach them up. It's just, what's your track record where we're coaching up some of these offensive linemen specifically? I think it's your worst turnout group out of all. No, it is. It's your worst turnout group that you've invested at, whether it's contractually or drafting or just random.
Well, tight end is down there too. Well, they got Kittle. So no, I mean, they've got no one good at this position. They've drafted no one good at this position. No one great. No Pro Bowlers. 0 Pro Bowlers in the offensive line have they drafted.
It's bad. Like, it's one thing. I get it. You got to keep finding investments. That's again why. And like John Lynn said, we're not going to take an offensive lineman. Just take one. I get it. Yeah, it's true because again, other than that end of the round 3, you had the choice of those 2 players, of DeJuan Jones, Nick Saldiveri. If it wasn't those 2, which again would have been stretched to see if they were starters, you didn't really have any options. They were kind of forced. And free agency again, they're a little screwed. So that's why I see it's like, what were they going to do at right tackle? So at least they one of the ways I'm talking about, one of the ways they can mitigate an offense. One of the ways they could do it is defense. Javon Hargrave, get to the passer, give us extra possessions, hold these guys as points. We need help. So I think like it literally feels like a wash. I think so far, if you're not getting worse in the off season, that's always a win, because that's always one thing. It's like if you're not getting worse, you're getting better or whatever. A lot of times people don't think it's right in the middle of being stalemate. I just think, hey, you didn't get worse. That's fine, because ultimately, what can McKivitz do, and who's going to be your quarterback, and what level is he going to be at?
I mean, look, it's fair if they're like, they could have taken Nick Saldiveri. That's the one. He has 33.25 inch arms. He's 6'6". He's 318. He runs a 5'2". I mean, honestly, if he were on the Niners right now, I think he'd be the right tackle. I mean, I think he's more gifted than Colton McKivitz. And so the Niners, they took Nick Zakelj in round 6 last year. Nick Zakelj is maybe comparable to Nick Saldiveri in terms of athleticism. I think Zakel's arms are even shorter. So, okay, man, you took Zakelj in round 6 last year. Let's see it, baby. That's your spring. That's got to be your swing tackle, because we've seen it with Jalen Moore, and he ain't him. He's not Himothy. It's got to be Zakelj. Otherwise, it could have been Saldiveri, and you took a tight end instead.
I just got reminded of what I wrote in the article of why the 49ers didn't take a right tackle. And, Kyle brought about, I consider this to be Brendel to Mack, situation versus like McGlinchey to McKivitz. And I'm like, yeah, I see another comparison. I see this as like, in terms of like not taking a player versus going McKivitz. I see it as Colton McKivitz is Brock Purdy. We know what we have, versus drafting a rookie right tackle as Trey Lance. Like we already have a little bit of a headway start. We don't want to start back at square one and try to reinvest and just figure it out, because God forbid it doesn't work. It looks pointless, and we don't have the time, and we don't want to do it. It's like, again, back to the short-sightedness, drafting kicker, saying no to minimal starts. It's what these guys do. It's the same way why McKivitz, like you said, he's two starts is enough for me. It's like, really? I'm seeing fans say defending McKivitz like that's all we need. It's like, what?
Really? And to me, it's like, how do you sell the fans on, we're just going to start Mike McGlinchey's backup? Wait a second. Mike McGlinchey wasn't good. Now his backup is to start. So someone that's worse than Mike McGlinchey is now starting. Oh, no, but the Niners don't want you to believe that McKivitz is secretly better than McGlinchey. Then why was McGlinchey playing last year? Either way, I don't get it. Either way, it's like, what is this in the best interest of the team? Was McGlinchey playing in the best interest of the team last year? Is McKivitz playing in the best interest of the team this year? I don't get it. It just feels like Kyle being like, man, I've been working around a bad right tackle for so long. I can keep doing it. I don't care. I can keep doing it. It's like, yeah, for a while. You can do it up to a point. I'm not saying McKivitz is bad, but he's not like a good one.
No, of course. Look, we're just being. This is a risk. This is very risky. This is risky.
Yeah.
We're playing craps on the table right now with a guy with very low starts and is not really shown. Sure, against the Rams, but you're facing against the same opponent twice. Every 49ers player looks good against the Rams. First of all, that's why they always beat them up in the regular season. Another thing is, I'd say where the 49ers just started McGlinchey just to start him, I'd say yeah, because of his contract. Jimmy Ward admitted to that last in his Instagram live. Remember he's saying like, I told him put me on the freaking bench, and Kyle was like,
not gonna happen.
We ain't gonna do that. And then Jimmy was like, you know why? Because I make too much, so they need me on the field. They probably thought McKivitz was the same, if not better, and they're like, even if it's unless it was drastically better, they couldn't. They couldn't explain
justify
that. And like you always say, like you like to bring in Jed York. Imagine explaining that to Jed York. It's like, why are you doing with our first round pick who's being paid all this money, just kicking, eating popcorn on the sideline, bro? What the hell are we doing?
What are we doing?
I can see that being a legitimate reason.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you.
I'm still scared though. I'm just like,
here's the thing. Here's what I wanted to say. So he can point to Brendel all he wants, but you mentioned it. There's a big difference between center and right tackle in general. In center, that guy's rarely one-on-one against anyone. You can help him. He's got a guard to his left, a guard to his right. You could put a back in the backfield. Like, there are things you can do. Right tackle, you can only help him for so long. At some point in this season, he's going to be one-on-one against someone who's way better than him. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's going to happen. And the question is he going to get beat so bad that someone's going to get hurt? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very, when he misses, when he loses, there's very serious consequences for a football team. That's the nature of offensive tackle. Is why it's an important position to find and to maybe keep. It's kind of like finding a quarterback, man. It's very important. They're hard to find. You got to develop them. You got to be patient. And the Niners are like, we don't have the time. We don't have the patience. We're just going to go with Colt McKivitz. Like, okay, good luck.
I thought about randomly the other day about how you brought up about Tyler Kroft, and it's like, yo, look, you gotta give credit to the Eagles for knocking him out. Not saying that's what they wanted to do, but it's like, look, there's a reason why there's an offensive lineman. You put all this money behind these guys, and it's because we had to protect this guy. He's he's technically supposed to be the most fragile guy on the team next to kicker and punter, which is why we have offensive linemen. It's why we invest this way, because getting hurt is a part of the game. We acknowledge it. Otherwise, why do we have offensive linemen for? Why do we have all these guys for?
Why are we wearing pads?
That's exactly that Tyler Kroft thing is such a risk. And it's like, all right, you viewed risk versus reward, and you thought that risk was enough to garner a 20-yard pass of Brandon Ayuk.
Right.
Dumb.
But you knew the risk was that if he misses, your quarterback gets hit. And if your quarterback gets hit, he's 6 feet, 210. And that guy's like 6'5", 240. I mean, you know what's going to happen.
This is why I'm blaming Kyle. I mean, you're blaming Kyle too on that. It's like, dude, you're the one that called the play. You knew it. You know your playbook better than anyone. You don't give these guys the right to audible either in that situation most of the time. And if this happens with Colt McKivitz there, I don't want to hear like, oh, it's McKivitz's fault. Purdy should have ducked earlier. It's like, no, who installed that guy as the starter? And I agree with you. I think they're going to skate by the regular season because, number one, the NFC sucks.
They'll run the ball. They'll run the ball. Yeah, it's easy. Yeah,
they'll get 10, 11 wins like that for sure. Unless we see some miraculous 0-5 start again for them.
Unless there's a bunch of injuries, the Niners are going to win 13, 14, 15 games.
Yeah,
bet that.
It's the playoffs. I think what you put it out is perfect. It's like it's the playoffs. I think the point to push back on what you're saying is I think what you're hoping is McKivitz by then all that game reps in, he becomes better as well, which is possible, But it's like. And maybe that's why we've seen after all of these years, he looks a little better in his starts, but it's like, it's a risk. They're willing to pay it. And I think the way how they see it is there's no one to draft. You say Saldiveri, I agree with you. And there was no one to go in free agency. We didn't have the cap space. Otherwise, we would have kept McGlinchey, right? So unless it was the draft or a trade, I don't see how do you who trades offensive tackles like that.
I just can't believe they didn't bring in a swing tackle. Like maybe they love Zakel, but when I asked John Lynch, is he a tackle? He was like,
right?
Yeah, so like maybe Kyle disagrees. I just don't get it. Maybe they love Jalen Moore all of a sudden. Because they said like, oh, look, we got Matt Pryor. He can start. But they also said they played him out of position last year in Indianapolis at left tackle. So he's not a swing tackle. He's a backup right tackle. Okay, so okay, fair enough. So if McKivitz goes down for a week, you got Matt Pryor in there. Good luck. And then if Trent Williams goes down for a week, what do? Do you slip McKivitz over to left tackle and play Matt Pryor? Or do you start Jalen Moore for a week? Or do you just go with Zakel at left tackle. I guess.
They did that 2019, right? They put Brunskill to the left one time when Joe Staley went out. Back.
Daniel Brunskill isn't walking through that door, Jose. He's not going to save you this year.
Where did he go? I forgot where he did. The Giants? No, where'd he go?
Tennessee. Rand Carthon. 2-year deal. Must have felt he was getting a raw deal. Talk about roster politics, right?
After being like a solid offensive line key player.
He got put in a rotation last year when he was the better player in the rotation. What they did, I understand it. Like, you know, he's going to leave and Burford's your future, so why not? But Brunskill was better than Burford last year.
That was so funny. I've never seen rotate. You know what's funny? I think someone asked Kyle after the day 3 presser saying like, "Oh,
I did."
Oh, you asked him about defensive
linemen?
I did. Yeah. He's like, oh, because defensive linemen rotate. And I was like,
what about your right guard?
You rotated last year.
And I thought it was actually one of the better things that they did all year because Burford wasn't ready to play an entire year. Instead of just sitting him all year, play him a little bit, get his feet wet, then put him on the sideline and be like, okay, now watch a better player do it. Now watch a better player do it. Okay, now try again. Now try. I think that's great. You should see more. I love Chris Forrester. I think he's an outside the box thinker. And I've been thinking this, you know, a lot of people credited Mike McDaniel for being the genius on this staff. Man, I think it's Forrester, dude. He came in 2019 and that's when the run game changed. Chris Forrester, I think, taught McDaniel a lot. Chris Forrester's like the old, salty, grizzly dude who just knows hella stuff. I bet he's the encyclopedic mind. I'm just saying. But now he has to coach offensive line. I think he has less time to dedicate to just game planning. He was the game planner for 2 years, 1920. I'm just rambling. Anyway, Chris Forrester. I like his answers at press conferences. You watch his press conferences?
Oh, he gives the most.
They're so good.
I feel bad that I didn't write enough about what he had to say, but it's like, dude, I'm reading like essays all over again back in college. I'm like, sheesh, I like it. Give us something because what your peers do not give us enough.
He seems like he would be, of all the coaches that I would want to have a beer with on that, on that coaching staff, him, Kyle would be fun. Kyle seems like the kind of guy who, like, even if he doesn't like you, if he had like a couple beers with you, he could have a good time with you. Maybe I'm wrong.
Kyle. No, I think you're right because when Kyle goes on the podium, it feels like kind of forced. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to talk. He's like, dude, I'm just like, I hate putting on this front for you guys. Can I just unwind and you guys not tell on me and we just bro down?
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely get those vibes 1,000%.
Yeah. So Kyle, Forrester, Johnny Holland's very serious. Not serious. He's very grown up. I don't know if he would have a beer. Chris Kostrick would be hilarious. I don't know Steve Wilkes yet.
Just going
those three. The 2 line coaches. Greasy hates me. Greasy is. I don't know about Greasy, dude.
That's so funny. I never knew he thought he felt that way until like you showed me that clip of what he said. I was like, wait,
Brian, I'm sorry. I take it back, man. Brian Greasy. My bad. Sorry. You did a good job last year.
Yeah. Wow. You know what? It's funny that we're on this topic because I used to always tell people, like, back when I was still in the locker room in 2019, I used to tell people, like, Jimmy Garoppolo is the ultimate, like, go to a dive bar type of guy. Like, I could go to my local dive bar and be like, he's just there wearing his flannel with the hoodie under or something like that. One of those flannel hoodies, you know what I mean? He's just there, just kicking it. I just see him as like a dive bar guy. Like,
that's interesting. But that was 2019. To me now, I think of him as like rooftop bar San Diego or like somewhere really ritzy in like Chicago on the Chicago River.
Makes sense. 2019 was his first year back, starting again.
Yeah,
right? He's trying to take it easy. He's trying to be more.
He used to be a dive bar kind of guy, but now I feel like he's like, you know, exclusive bar only type of place. Very quiet, candle lit. He's so private. No one ever runs into. There was the one time when he went to Hooters last year, and the girl took a picture of him, and that went out. But other than that, no one ever runs into Jimmy Garoppolo and takes a picture. He's good.
He's like the Zodiac,
as opposed to Trey, who gets caught all the time. Although it is to his credit, he hasn't gotten caught partying in like 6 months. 9 months. I'll give him 9 months. Okay, not that. What I want to talk about is Warriors Lakers. Although we should probably answer some super chats before we get there. So hold on. The Logical Truth says the AFC gives up 26 versus the NFC's 36 points per game, and no one talks about it. That tells me schematics versus personnel is the reason. What say you?
Really good defenses in the AFC West. It's not the Broncos had a good defense, even though they were a bad team. Chargers don't. The Chiefs had a solid defense. Steelers had a decent defense. Bengals had a solid defense. Ravens had a good defense. Browns? No, they didn't. The Jets actually had a good defense. Yeah, they had good defenses in the AFC.
I feel like, though, my characterization of the conferences is that the NFC is more old school, more about running? Ball control, running, and defense. Whereas the AFC is more
so now with McCarthy calling plays at Cowboys. Did you ever hear what he said about why he moved off for Kellen Moore? He's like, I felt like we should have ran the ball more.
Right.
And it's like, wait,
that's the NFC.
Tell him you want to run the ball more.
That's the NFC. And the AFC is all about we need the best quarterback. We need the best quarterback. It's like, right. Yeah, exactly. You need the best quarterback. Straight up.
That's why they always keep winning, right?
Detroit, their first pick this year was a running back. It's such an NFC thing to do. Why would you do that?
Atlanta, when they didn't need a running back, we saw them run all over the 49ers with their multitude of backs, and that was without Cordero Patterson.
It's always an NFC team that takes a running back that high, I want to say. Like the Rams, the Cowboys, the Giants. Stop. What are you doing? Get with the time. I feel like AFC is much more cutting edge. But that's always kind of been the AFC. It's always been more of a lighted up offense conference, even back before it merged. I was young back in the 60s. I remember. All day, every day. Oh, yeah. Kim says Cabo Click got that Masters Country Club feel.
Good one.
Yeah, they're the kind of guys that golf together. Right? What else do they do? Drink sours together? You like sours.
Yeah, I like sours.
You like an IPA. Yeah. Official BNA Music 88 says counting down. No, we got you already. No,
we didn't. Not this Countdown. One. He's completing. Oh, wait, did we? Oh, yeah, we did that one.
All right. Let's talk Warriors then. I didn't understand this one at all. 26 versus 36. I don't get it.
He's talking about the defenses give up 26 points per game versus the 36 in the NFC. So he's saying schematically the NFC is better, more lethal in the offensive standpoint in the NFC than is AFC, even though the AFC has obviously the most elite quarterbacks. I just chalk it up to look, defense in the AFC are better. NFC just stinks all around.
Yeah. Okay. Warriors lost game 1 at home to the Lakers. It was interesting. They were down big. They came back. Jordan Poole had the shot. A lot of people made fun of him for taking it at all and being so far away from the basket. And a lot of people felt, it was open. Steve Kerr defended him. Do you think the Lakers are going to win this series? I mean, how do you think it's going to go?
Oh, you're going to ask me that? Well, first I was going to say, I apologize for saying the Warriors were going to lose that last series when they were down 2-0. It was looking bleak. I don't remember what I think you were leaning on my side too a little bit more. You were a little doubtful. You were doubtful at least. You might not.
I was starting to feel doubtful, but I don't think I ever picked against them.
That was just rough. And again, it's what does Steve Kerr even do, man? What does this guy do? I don't get it. There's been multiple games through. I'm like, Jesus, I feel like I could pick a better rotation than this guy. But yeah, when I saw Jordan Poole shoot that deep three, it was I don't care how hot this guy is. That's not your range, buddy. That's not your range. That's Stephen Clay range. I don't care how hot you are. I was like, yes.
Yeah,
so this is why I love the NBA playoffs. It's hard to be a fan during the regular season because it's hard to keep track, first of all. And second of all, these guys don't care about it. These are the series that really get my blood flowing because I know hella Warriors fans are friends of mine and family, and I'm also Lakers fans. So it's like Civil War, Avengers style. So it's just so fun. And look, I got to represent for the culture. I think Lakers are going to win in 7. I think it's going to go Lakers in 7. The Warriors are. Hey, don't laugh at me. I know where you live, guy. I'll find you.
I like that you said representing for the culture. I don't even know what that means in this context.
Representing for the Lakers culture, baby.
Okay, fair enough. I know where you live. Okay. Fair enough.
Don't laugh at me. We got beat.
I got cameras all around my house, man. I would have you on 8 cameras so quick, baby. Let's go. Yeah, in Scarface where he has that room where he has all those TVs and stuff.
Yeah.
No, but here's how I feel about this game, man. I think the Warriors are still gonna win. That's how I feel. Straight up. No, I have reasons. So Anthony Davis was just too much, right? And I think people that think the Lakers are going to win the series, like you, or think man, Anthony Davis is too good. The Warriors have no answer. All I'm going to say is in the fourth quarter, the Warriors won that period 24-21. Anthony Davis had 2 points on 1 of 5 shooting. Once the Warriors get Draymond Green on Anthony Davis, I've seen it so many times. Anthony Davis doesn't want the smoke. He's soft. S-O-F-T. Soft. And in the fourth quarter, when you put Draymond on him, he doesn't want it. He will disappear. But in the game last night, it was a weird game with all those fouls, and then he got a freaking technical And it still came down to a 3. So that's going to keep happening, Jose. And I'm not even a Niner fan, but I just want to point that out. I mean, Warrior fan or Niner fan.
You're both. You have both fans. No, I think that doesn't make sense because when Draymond got in the early foul trouble, he was on the bench. Anthony Davis was just teeing off, and it's look. I think it's really going to come down to like can the Warriors actually get more out of their bench points? Can they actually miraculously? Because that's what's clear cut to me. It's like the Warriors are more of a team. The Lakers are more of a team. The Warriors is like Steph, and who the hell else is going to step up? In the past, it was always like we're most likely going to see Clay or Poole or someone else step up. It's like, where's that going to come from? They had.
Yeah, Looney's not going to be like scoring in this series. Looney's going to have a tough time with Anthony Davis. It's not Sabonis.
He's not going to have as easy offensive rebound.
It's not Sabonis anytime anymore.
He gets Sabonis is soft.
That being said, though, I feel like what you saw when Davis was in the game, he scored a bunch, but I feel like he gave it back on the other end because anytime the Warriors did like a screen handoff above the 3-point line with Anthony Davis's man doing the screen, like he wouldn't come up. He would just stay back and you'd have wide open threes. Huh?
Unless it was like the guards. I don't think anyone else they were telling to come up that way because they're just like, we'll just live with that because – and also I think they were settling for it, right? That's kind of the big reason why they weren't getting as much free throws. It's like, dude, you're taking all these J's. How do you expect to get all these fouls then?
But isn't that the hallmark of a tired team? Like you just played a 7-game series. You just played 2 days ago. You shoot 55 threes. Like it's easy to shoot 55 threes, right? It takes way less energy than driving. Yeah.
I think that's why it was kind of obvious the Warriors are going to lose this game. It was like, dude, they got to play 2 days later. Like, Jesus, man.
And the Lakers have been
crazy. Yeah. There's not a single 2-day break in any of the series. Well, maybe after, but in the first 4 games, there's not. That's crazy to me. That's freaking crazy. And I'm over here like, okay, cool. It's like, I'm looking at the schedule for the rest of the week, right? Because there's UFC Saturday and Canelo's fighting. So I'm like, cool, it's fight night Saturday. Hopefully the game's on Sunday. So I have a huge weekend. It's like, no, the game's on Saturday. I'm like, the game's on Saturday? There's only a 1-day break? God, man. It's like, this is why I think it's going to go like back and forth a lot. The Lakers, the Warriors are already kind of tired. Lakers can get tired too. I can see that. I think the Warriors might have a slight edge in that sense, but I think that's why we're looking at a 6-7 game series because, like, dude, these battle of attrition is real on these teams, man. So I mean, it's
what also was interesting about this is like Anthony Davis is the best player in the Lakers.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Like LeBron is a good number 2, but like he's not the same guy he was 3 years ago. Like, first of all, he can't shoot.
No, he's terrible at shooting.
Can't shoot, and he can't really initiate your offense anymore. So he's like setting screens, cutting to the basket. Like, I'm not used to seeing LeBron do this stuff. So like he had a great game 1. Like he impacted it in so many different ways, but like that's who he is now. Like he's not necessarily gonna be leading them in scoring or assists. It's very interesting. Like AD has to play like this every time in this game, in this series, for them to eliminate the Warriors.
D'Angelo Russell gives him like that nice little spot up in those random kicks. Yeah. So he had like several good like passes to facilitate that. So I think he's a good X factor. I think the X factors is him and Jordan Poole. You can get that Jordan Poole he did in game 1 without the necessary like he checked 3 at the end. I think you're good because I was watching him. I was like, okay, Jordan Poole says his best playoff performance against the Lakers. Oh, that's great. Awesome. It's like that was his best game by far because everything else has just been Russell Westbrook 2.0 from him. He's so
I know he's been so bad. I don't know what he's doing or where his head's at. He keeps seems like he wants to make it about himself and like get a bunch of glory. But when he just takes open shots, exactly. When he just takes open shots, he's good. Like I think he had no turnovers last night and like 7 assists. Like dude, stop doing too much. They want you to shoot. Just shoot the open shots and you'll be good because he's so bad on defense. Like you can't be a liability on offense too, man. You can't be, So I still think the Warriors are going to win the series. What?
Because the same way you just said, like I believe it. I don't think they're going to close out too much too often or early, especially on the shooters, especially Poole. I think they're going to try to like live with that and just like try to get.
They're going to die with that. To your point, the Lakers were more rested than the Warriors in this game 1. I think it was predictable that the Warriors would lose game 1, but the fact that the Warriors shot 40% from 3 does not bode well for the Lakers because usually when the Warriors can do that in a series, they win. They find a way to win. They're too good. You got to take that away. I don't know if they can.
Clay was on fire too. Well, actually, no. Clay started on fire the first quarter or first half, and then he really dropped down. He really dropped. Poole kind of splurged it, and obviously Curry does his. But yeah, I think that guy JaMychal Green had 2 threes. That was random. Again, this is so
you,
random.
man,
Like
they're open.
JaMychal Green gets Stewie on you, Lakers. Come on, what are you doing?
They're open. I mean, if you give these guys warm up threes, JaMychal will hit that. Like he's been around. I call him JaMychal because I know him like that.
Now he's all of a sudden knocking back-to-back threes. God.
Different matchup. Like Curry in the first round was just putting on a layup clinic. I think he got his floater blocked 4 or 5 times last night. Like it's going to be a whole. The Warriors aren't going to be able to just score inside like they did against the Kings. They're going to have to shoot and defend without fouling.
Such a contrast.
They've done that in the past. Yeah, it's way different because the Kings were going to run all day. The Lakers aren't trying to run.
No, if the Kings were playing, I think they would have got blown out in that first game, even though it was a 7-game series. The Lakers, I think that would have been their worst matchup.
Official B&A Music 88 says bet folks wanted Draymond to punch Poole last night.
Yeah, I saw tweets saying that. Everyone, you know what I've been seeing the most commonly of tweets and even in group chats is like, I get now why Poole got punched. I get why. We talked about it after the 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, look, Draymond, you crossed the line, and it's like, damn. Now I'm starting to feel like I get it. I'm not trying to condone violence in that way because I feel like you could just chew them out and just let. But it's like, man, it's like this guy's that.
He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
He doesn't get it.
He just doesn't get it, man.
That video, I don't know if it was game 6 where like Draymond's trying to or someone's trying to console him. And he just grabs his arm and just throws him.
Draymond.
Just like, get off
Draymond.
Me,
and then apparently Steph came over and said, this shit isn't helping.
It's like, bro, like,
Jordan.
what are you doing? I also read
and what's crazy was he could have been the hero last night. Like he played so well. He was like 5 of 7 from 3, but he does too much. He has a couple good plays and he starts like playing to the crowd. It's like, dude, you're the 6th man on the team. Just chill. It's not your moment. It's not your stage. It's not your team. It's not your crowd. Just stop embarrassing yourself. Everyone is cringing watching you do this stuff. Like, oh God. Like he is the Warriors version of like Dylan Brooks. It's like, dude, stop. Stop. Yeah, they're gonna kick you off the team. Like this guy, Americ says trade Poole for Trae Young. Hawks don't want Poole for Trae Young. They say no, thank you.
I think the Hawks are trying to trade Young though. That's what I've been hearing or seeing.
Oh, maybe okay, do that. I'll take Trae Young.
We talk about the immaturity of these guys. Like I also saw something else about like I think Marcus Thompson wrote about how saying on that game 7 how Steph's doing the speech, right? And like if you bought in, go to the game bus.
Get on the bus.
You can be immature, stay out. And it was supposedly specifically towards Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga. And it's like, what are you two sniping about? You're in the playoffs, first of all. And of course, Steph's going to be the one who's going to have to be the star. Are you freaking kidding me? You're playing with the top 10 best basketball player of all time. You're over here going to think like, this is your moment to shine? Get the hell out of here. That's what I think is so pathetic about those two players. It's like, dude, yes, Kuminga got a raw deal with Anthony Lamb and Kerr screwing him. But it's like, it's the playoffs time now, guys. This is what's going to happen. We're going to have to do what we got to do to win. And if you're there, it's like stand aside. Let your stars take over.
Also, the reason that Kerr goes with Anthony Lamb in the regular season over Kuminga is that Anthony Lamb is willing to play a role. Like Kuminga gets in the game and doesn't know what his role is. He doesn't execute a role particularly well. He wants to be a superstar. Like that's why you're not playing, dude, because you don't rebound, you don't defend. What can they count on you to do well? Nothing. You can't shoot. But you're supposed to just be like gifted minutes so you can develop. Well, like not on this team. Are we talking about the Niners or the Warriors right now? Anyway, the difference is to me, like the Warriors have won 4 championships. They have a proven formula that works. They won last year. Niners don't have that. They're still searching. They think they do. So they might want to experiment a little bit in Santa Clara. The Warriors have no time to experiment with anything. They have their formula. You got to fit in and do a job. What job are you going to do? Jonathan? Mr. Kuminga. Nothing. Although, in the past, didn't he do a good job defending LeBron? I don't know if you need him on LeBron. It's not like LeBron's doing much on offense.
Maybe in like the regular season games, yeah.
Maybe.
Because obviously he wasn't there for those championships, Kuminga, 5 years ago. Who's
was he like 14?
I was paying attention to like D'Lo and stuff like that. I think they're just mixing it in, whoever was there. But honestly, if you're the Warriors, you just keep LeBron in that arc. Because I remember before he made a couple more threes or took a few more shots, I think they said he was 5 of 36 or 5 of 39 from 3 in that first series against the Grizzlies. And I was like, dear God, I could do better than that. What? Oh my god,
Yeah.
man! Yeah, like you said, like he's the perfect number 2 now, and it's like, and that end game sequence, he instead of him taking the ball to the cup, drawing a foul, laying it up, doing what he does best, he settles for a 3. This is the thing that just frustrates me about watching LeBron James throughout his career. It's just always like something weird. Like he just doesn't go with his strengths. And again, maybe it's because he is 38 now, but still, I've seen several times he's still able to do that. And the one time he should be able to force it is in the crunch time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it seems like you're going to have Draymond on LeBron a lot in this series since LeBron has gotten kind of slow. You're going to have Clay on Reeves. I think Clay did a great job on Reeves last night. And ideally, you want Wiggins on D'Lo, just like the Lakers have, what's his face, Vanderbilt on Curry. You want big, long, athletic guy pressuring
They're
the
all
ball.
pretty like lanky, so it's like it kind of like that's the cool thing about like kind of disrupting a little bit of the shot, even though they shot 40%, like you said, but still, it's like they get the shot off so quick. It's like, what good does length do?
Yeah. Canelo fights this weekend. Who's he fighting?
I don't know. I don't pay it. Honestly, like a lot of the Mexicans I know aren't really paying attention to that fight because it's like he's fighting nobodies. He's fighting
Okay.
Guadalajara. I know that much, which is cool. I'm personally
So
just
he's
gonna
gonna
watch
win.
the basketball game, and I'm jumping straight into UFC. Like
Okay.
until
Who's
Canelo
fighting?
fights. Aljamain Sterling against Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo comes out of retirement after a 3-year layoff. He's trying to get his belt back. And then the co-main is going to be a good one. Gilbert Burns against Bilal Muhammad. That's going to be – so it's actually a solid card. It's a nice, juicy card.
All right.
So
Juicy.
Basketball, transition to that. I'll probably bring out the second TV and put on the Canelo fight. So just because, just put it on. You got to put it on.
You have two TVs?
Make my living room. I just bring my TV from my room into the living room.
I can see that.
I run that.
I like
So
that.
it's almost like a sports bar in the living room.
I like that. Or like you're at like the sports book at Caesars. That's
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Well, I'm done streaming for the day, I think, because Jesse is literally in Vegas at a sports book right now. He said he was actually at the Lazy River.
I'm
so
so
he's just
jealous.
somewhere walking in a lazy river. So if you
Holding
say
a
what's up,
fat
if you see,
Tuesday getting exercise.
yeah, if you're in Vegas, say what's up to Jesse. I'll be around doing whatever. We'll see. Probably gonna go lift weights. Did I tell anyone that I lift weights? I lift weights.
Just because you break the branch off in one of your many trees in your backyard and you lift it doesn't consider lifting weights. But
Yeah, do 100 of those.
Did you find a new barber yet?
No. Does it look like it? No, that's what I need to do today. I need to go find a new barber today.
There you go. You have
That's
the
what
free
I'm gonna
time
do.
now.
Hell yeah. Getting a haircut today. All right. See you guys. Peace.